Hey, yes, it is Thursday. It is 9, so it's UK Cowboys time. And before I ask how everybody's doing, we have with us the great and powerful Mr. Mickey Spagnuolo. How we all doing, people?
Woo! Hey, it looks like I'm a little dark. Let's see if I can get some light in this picture here. Hang on a second.
Yes, we are here. It is the penultimate show. So we've only got this show and next week's episode, and that's it for season 3. All done and dusted. We're on to season 4. And there we go. Look, Mickey's
That's
back.
a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, mate, we can see a big smiling face, and that's a bright enough light. Oh, look
Even
at that.
better, huh?
Oh, now we can see every beautiful feature there, mate.
Very good.
Yeah, how you doing? Some people have said you've been on this show so much they're picking up an English accent from you now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now, if I could just pick up your guy's accent and understand everything much better.
Are you just referring to Jamie or the rest of us?
Yeah.
Yeah, that I can understand. We don't understand him, so don't worry.
I don't understand myself, so it's all right.
It's always like whenever you speak, Jamie, I always think of Sean Bean.
Oh, I get that reference.
Yeah.
I don't know how to take that comment.
You're all right. You're all
From
right.
South Yorkshire, not from the good side.
But yes, guys, we this week on the positional breakdown series, as we say, we're on to cornerbacks this week. Just looking at all the corners. Just so you know, Mickey, we are putting Israel Mukwamu in the safety position, not the cornerback position.
That's right.
Yes. So some people were talking about that, like we did with the defensive ends. You know what it's like. Some people they get a bee on their bonnet with positions, but we'll just keep it simple. However, it's written down by you guys at Dallas Cowboys. That's what we're going to go with.
That's probably a smart thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully, we're not making a mistake on our own guys, right?
Yeah. But we have had some interesting information, and we could start with this guy if you want. Touchdown Wire did a ranking this week of cornerbacks from the slot position, and they ranked Jordan Lewis 3rd.
Well, I think he had one of his better seasons.
Agree.
Playing in the slot, and it'll be interesting to see if there's any competition there, because one of the guys that depending on what happens on the outside, Anthony Brown's pretty versatile, and he's been able to play in the slot. And I noticed at some point, a couple times in, I believe it was the mini camp, I saw Anthony Brown go inside when they were giving some of the younger guys an opportunity to play on the outside. So, but Jordan Lewis did have a nice season, and that's I think one of the reasons why these corners, I think obviously the play improved when you get one guy to have 11 interceptions, right?
That's it. Yeah. You're going to get filtered a bit more.
Interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it shakes out in training camp.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to Trayvon because we'll try and do it in order, but we seem to be kicking it into Jordan Lewis, so we'll stick there for the minute. But I mean, I always think Jordan Lewis is one of those under-the-radar type guys that he just quietly gets it done. That he's not a bad player, and what he's surrounded by, you don't really hear much from him or about him, but he's just there quietly getting it done. He'll come on the field and do exactly what is said on the tin, and then you're on to the next job. He just seems to be that guy. If that makes any sense.
Probably what you want out of your third corner, right? And remember, it's your third corner.
Yeah.
So you're not putting your best guy usually in the slot unless you have a really good third corner that can play outside. So the fact that, you don't hear much about him probably means he's not making a bunch of mistakes. I know sometimes he'll give up a play and you're going, where were you? What are you doing? But other than that, I think, it's been pretty solid. And one of the reasons why they did sign him a year ago I think it was a 3-year deal.
Yes, that's right. I mean, I've got everyone's contract details, which I'll bring up in a moment. But the one thing that I did notice when I was going through Jordan Lewis's statistics, which is quite mad when you look at it. That the first thing that I've noticed, and it is something we've known for him to do before, because I think he matched the Cowboys record from the cornerback slot, is he had on the season 2 sacks. So you can use him in that way. And he also created forced fumbles.
Yeah. And he is somewhat of a ball hawk, right? He seems to find the ball, or the ball finds him, one of the two. And while they didn't blitz that much out of the slot, it's one of the things I think Dan Quinn will probably upgrade this year, the way he uses these guys once they're have become now more comfortable in his defense.
In that scheme. Now, well, that was something I was going to ask you, if perhaps we'll see a bit more of that from Jordan Lewis. Because, as you say, they have signed him to a 3-year deal. And the mad bit as well is, I don't know where the time's gone, but he's actually been with the Cowboys for 6 years, which is absolutely crazy. 3-year deal, and he's $4.6 million on the cap this year. I think that's worth it, though.
Yeah, no. And to get veteran guys like that to come in and play. And even though they've brought in some young guys, they can't seem to, edge these older veterans out. Not that he's old. He's been here a little bit longer than the rest of them. So, yeah, I think that bodes well for them going forward, the corner position. Now, if they can establish that fourth guy, is it Kelvin Joseph?
Yes.
I don't know. Is it Nashawn Wright? I think this remains to be seen. But they do need to establish a fourth guy that you can trust. And now, can you trust Kelvin Joseph? I don't know. He certainly hasn't done anything to prove that just yet. But you always need that fourth guy, since you're usually using 3 corners in a standard defense.
Yeah. So, I mean, for you, Jamie, I don't know how you feel. I mean, there's this battle right now. I think it is. It's the battle for third, I feel. Do you think it's going to go Jordan Lewis, stick to what you know, or development of Kelvin Joseph is going to be the way forward? Or is it more of a case of wait and see what we get when it gets to preseason?
Yeah, I think you've got to look at it in camp, haven't you? But as Mickey alluded to, Jordan Lewis it's like a little, he's a Swiss Army knife, probably the best way to describe him. Like you say, he can play inside, he can play outside, and he's dependable. And I know we've just touched on it as well, saying like he's pretty much under the radar, and hopefully that kind of makes him play with a chip on his shoulder, because you see some guys at other teams that would have stats that he's produced and get a lot of credit for it and get a lot of talk around the league. And like I say, it may have just been that it's been overshadowed with what Trayvon Diggs did last year. But yeah, if it was cornerback free, I'd definitely be comfortable, and it won't throw me any panic for sure.
Yeah. Okay. And what about you, Paul? I mean, I'll come to you and let you weigh in. Jordan Lewis versus Kelvin Joseph. Which way would you go?
I'd probably have to go with Jordan Lewis right now. I mean, we still don't know right as of right now. Like that Lewis is definitely more game ready, but we just don't know where we're at with Joseph right now. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward from my perspective.
Yeah, and the other thing on Kelvin Joseph, I haven't seen them try to use him in the slot, even as a second team corner. It seems like when he comes in, he's behind Anthony Brown at the left outside corner spot. So I've yet to see him go in the slot. I don't know how well he would play in there. It's a tougher position, right? You got to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see. I know Kelvin Joseph has a lot of talent. Now we'll see if he does not become one of these guys that there's always something, right? And so far, there's been a couple too many somethings since he's gotten here.
Yeah, and especially with the way teams are moving now, that You know, it used to be, going back some years, that the slot position would be wide receivers that are getting a bit long in the tooth. They'll move them in there. They're more experienced to be able to find space. But nowadays, with, you know, the way players are coming out of college, wide receivers, they are pure slots, or the big slot has come out as well a lot. So cornerbacks certainly need to be able to hit the ground running, and like you say, quite rightly, know what they're doing from that position, because these younger guys, more athletic, speed, agility, means that they need to know not just the route but the player, and stick with the athleticism too. But
could you say as well, though, just quickly throw that, like, could you potentially say moving into camp that he's the one likely to be on the bubble, in terms of, if the Cowboys don't like what they see in camp, they may just say, look, let's cut ties. This guy wasn't what we thought he was going to be.
What do you think, Mickey?
Which guy did you say?
Kelvin Joseph.
No, I think when you're a second round pick, you'll probably get 3 years before they say, okay, you washed out. And it's my understanding that from a legal standpoint, he should be all in the clear with his deal with the being in the car where the shooting took place. So my understanding, my sources tell me that he should be good to go. Now we'll see, that's from a legal standpoint. You never know when the NFL will come up with something and say, well, no, I don't think we agree with that. And Deshaun Watson, right? We'll see what happens there.
Oh, yeah. There's that as well. Because that was going to be something I was going to ask you about, was because you've got you've already attested to it, the double-edged sword, that although he's free on one side, there's still the other side. But you haven't heard anything with Kelvin Joseph on that front?
No, absolutely not. And the only thing that I've been told is that it seems like that he's been cleared. Nothing's come out officially. The Cowboys certainly haven't said anything officially. The legal system probably wouldn't say anything unless there was something to be said, right? Which is never good news. So from that standpoint, he's been here. He's been at the workouts in the off season, and their ever intention is that he's coming to training camp with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
It seems like no big news is good news right now.
Yeah. And just for sorry, just to interrupt, I do apologize for people trying to watch it on Facebook. We did have a technical issue, but I have managed to remedy it, so you can all rejoin now. So apologies for that. Sorry, Mickey, I didn't mean to interrupt you either.
No, I'm good. I'm just following the leaders here.
And hey, you're the leader here, mate. Don't you worry about that. So should we go in order then and look at Trayvon Diggs? What I found funny, and we were talking about this on the show, Trayvon Diggs got nicknamed, he got given a moniker of being the Jameis Winston of cornerbacks. I feel that's a little unfair, but
it's quite insulting, actually.
I agree. But I get where they were trying to go. That it's going to go one way or the other.
Wait. Where were they trying to go? Help me.
Yeah. Well, I think what they're trying to say is Jameis Winston. You know that he throws a lot of interceptions. He throws a lot of touchdowns. It was going to go one way or the other. But I feel that if you get that type of cornerback, the type of cornerback with what Trayvon is, where he plays out of phase with the player, you're going to get that because he's going to try and create separation for the wide receiver, and then he'll try and close that gap to get. I'm trying to remember the cornerback that was talking about it. I think it might have been Jalen Ramsey, and he was trying to explain about cornerbacks playing in phase and out of phase. And basically, he's explaining that that's Trayvon's style. So it's going to happen that way. Do you think, though, we're going to see less interceptions with less yards, though, Mickey? Or is this going to be something we keep seeing year in, year out?
I don't know that I want to see less interceptions.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Agree.
I want more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I want the ball. I want him to go after Dick Night Train Lane's NFL record.
He was almost
just 3 short of, right?
Yeah.
Look, Here's the deal, and I think it's been unfair since you brought this up, that the reason he got 11 interceptions is because he's a gambler.
Yes.
And if you watch him play, he's not gambling. He's covering the guy, right? And so cornerbacks are going to get beat. They all get beat, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason why these quarterbacks out there are throwing for 5,000 and 4,000 yards. They're beating somebody. The same thing with these receivers, right? There's a reason why there's guys out there that are catching 100 balls a season, catching for 12, 1,500 yards. They beat cornerbacks. You are going to get beat as a cornerback. What you want to do is make plays to counter the times you get beat. And I think that's Trayvon Diggs' biggest asset, that he makes plays. And don't think just because he gets beat on a deep one or a one-on-one route that he's gambling. He's not gambling. He's just getting beat. And that's one of the things he wants to get better at. You know, someone asked him if he maybe learned a lesson this last year and won't gamble as much. And he goes, I don't know what you're talking about. And he goes, well, gambling to try to get interceptions. He goes, I play football. Yeah. And I thought that was a great answer. I'm playing football. And so, I think it's been very unfairly pointed out that the reason he's successful is he gambles. And all you got to do is ask Everson Walls about it, right? The last guy in the NFL to previously have 11 interceptions in a single season. And Everson did it as a rookie, 1981. It was 40 years since anybody's had as many as 11 interceptions in the NFL. And I guarantee you, Everson wasn't a gambler. He was just covering, and he had an ability to catch the football. So if you can cover and you can catch the football like a wide receiver, chances are you're going to have an ability to come away with interceptions. But that doesn't mean you'll never get beat. That this idea of shutdown corners. Who's the shutdown corner out there? They don't tell me it's Jalen Ramsey, because I see him get beat bad many times, right? And he didn't come up with 11 interceptions. So to me, I think the criticism of Diggs is very unfair.
Yeah. Do you think as well, though, that a lot of this is because he plays for the Cowboys? And what I mean by that is,
has to be, Jamie. Has to be.
Because if it had been on any other team, I don't think we would have been hearing about this. And like Mickey just says, look at like a Jalen Ramsey or something like that. You see these cornerbacks that line up the league every year. Nobody ever comes out and kind of downplays them every year. They always look at the stats of what they've done, and like I say, they don't burn them for yards that they've lost. I just think a lot of this comes from the Cowboys, and it's just another way to try and not patronise him. That's probably the wrong word to use, but you know what I mean, kind of downplay what he did last year, because he got benefit some yards, but he had a great year. It's the kind of thing that you want to see, don't you? You want to see his play from year 1, year 2, year 3 going up. You don't want to see it trending downwards.
Yeah, and let's remember, this is only his second year in the league last year, right? And he didn't play that much cornerback in college. Remember, he was a wide receiver.
Right.
And then he played, 2 more years at corner, and now he's in the NFL. I'll be interested to see what time of year he has. And also, there's a lot of times when these rating services are judging the guy's play, they don't know what the defensive call was, right? They don't know if he was supposed to help over the top with a safety and the safety didn't do his job, or if a linebacker was supposed to drop into the flat. So a lot of this stuff, I think gets exaggerated. We get too caught up with being anal with all these numbers out there that somebody else is coming up with that's not part of the game plan or a part of the team.
It's funny that you kind of mention that about like the numbers and stuff like that. If there's one person that kind of springs to mind with regards to that, who I thought was actually having a good season, and it's not a cornerback, but it was LVE near the end of the season. You weren't hearing much about him because he was actually doing his job. if that makes sense. He wasn't making the big impact plays, but he was still doing the void. He was still like doing his job essentially. I don't know if that's what you're kind of meaning there, Mickey.
Paul, you must have some sort of psychotherapy going here, because just before I got on with you guys, I was into my column for Friday on DallasCowboys.com about Leighton Vander Esch, and pointing out that, and he said it to us, given a chance to play and play consistently, I can play well. The problem had been is they didn't give him an opportunity to play consistently, or injuries had gotten in the way his second year, his third year. And I think you're exactly right. I think a lot of people forget that this guy was a Pro Bowler as a rookie.
That's right.
A rookie linebacker, the first Cowboys rookie linebacker to make it to the Pro Bowl. And then injuries got in the way. And last year was his first year back, and they wasted snaps on Jalen Smith before they finally smartened up and got rid of him, and got Leighton Vander Esch back on the field where he belonged. And finally, as the season went along, the other thing, this notion that Keanu Neal could be a linebacker kind of faded away also, to the point they didn't re-sign him.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, like, because we was talking about linebacker last week. I know we're going wayward, but I may as well get your take on this. We were talking about that, as Paul mentioned, Leighton Vander Esch, as the season went on, he seemed to get better. But I think another thing that you noticed tie in quite nicely with that all came up together, Neville Gallimore returning. Yeah, so you see Neville Gallimore return back from injury. All of a sudden, Leighton Vander Esch seems to find his feet too. Because they're trying to keep him a bit cleaner in the box. But I mean, you've already spoken about Anthony Brown. Now this really is one of the veterans on the team, still only 28 years old. Been with the Cowboys for 7 years. Out of Purdue, he's on a 3-year contract, and this is his contract year now. So he's 6.5 million on the cap. But do you think this is going to be one of those years where, because, we always hear about contract years. Do you think he's done enough for him to return, or do you think that having a guy who's going to be a bit long in the tooth next year, like the Orlando Scandrick that we had before, is going to be somewhat in their mind, or do you think that they want the veteran presence?
Well, that depends on, do you have somebody to take his place?
Good point.
Right?
Yeah.
You never are making too much money until somebody making less can do what you do. Right? It's pretty simple. So that's why, for him, third contract in the league would be great for a guy that got in the league as what, a 6th round draft choice?
6th round, yeah, that's right, yeah.
And so I think that, the way he looks at it is just got to go out and play football and then kind of see what happens. He's a pretty sharp guy. And I think he understands that this team's ability to be in the same defense under the same defensive coordinator who's calling actually the defensive plays during the game will really help this team. Because if you think about it, that hasn't happened for the previous 3 seasons. It's always been somebody different.
Yeah.
And now they can sink their teeth into what Dan Quinn's doing. And this defense, to me, has to take that next step. While it was 100%. Better, it still wasn't good enough. They still, at times, against the better teams, gave up too many points. Absolutely. You shouldn't score 29 points and 33 points in a game and get beat. And they lost 2 games like that, which cost them having the best record in the NFL last year.
Yeah, and we spoke about Trayvon Diggs with the interceptions. So his target rate kind of went down after that. He was just over. He was on 101 targets for the year, but only a 56% reception rate, which is fairly. You'd be happy with that. Which meant obviously Anthony Brown was that guy getting targeted a lot more, and he did get targeted a lot more. But what is crazy is even with that number of targets, he came second in the Cowboys in intercept. He had 4 interceptions on the year. And I do believe he scored a touchdown as well in one of them.
Yes.
If I'm right. Yeah, he did take one back to the house, didn't he?
So, yeah, and and I get targets. We don't understand. I don't think teams come out. I'm sure offensive coordinators are looking for the weak link, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But the defensive coordinator knows where his weak link is. So he'll cover that, right? I'll put a safety over there. See, I think there's also this misconception that because Diggs had all these interceptions, that he wasn't covering the other team's top receiver. Well, guess what? He was.
Yeah.
A lot of times he was going with the top receiver. And to me, teams aren't going to back off throwing to their best receiver just because Trayvon Diggs is over there. They're going to their best receiver. And the reason he's their best receiver is he beats people. And so that's another reason why, some of the yards Trayvon Diggs gave up because he was covering some of the top receivers in the league. They didn't shy away from throwing at him or moving their top receiver around somewhere else. They would go after him. So the same thing with Anthony Brown. It wasn't like he was in, the luxury seat on the left side where, we never got a top receiver or didn't get help sometimes. I just think he's a really good player. He's a smart player and one of the veteran guys on this team that really helps out the young guys. Yeah,
because that's something that can be taken away either. Because, obviously you're around the team a lot more than we are. So,
by 5,000 miles.
Right, because there's an ocean between us.
That's it. Yeah. I think there's a song there somewhere, Mickey. But when it comes to Anthony, because we know he's a veteran present there, does he have that? Does he do that? Is he quite vocal with the younger guys? Does he try and assist them along a bit?
I think he does in a way that you wouldn't recognize because he's kind of soft-spoken,
okay,
kind of quiet, but don't equate that with him not being a top competitor.
Is kind of in a way how Amari Cooper was with CD Lamb in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay.
Very, very much so.
Like leading from the back.
Yeah. Or in the locker room when no one else is around.
I'm with you.
Those are the leaders that guys respect and leaders that, have shown that they deserve that respect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So but he's one of my favorite guys. I remember when he first came in as a 6th round pick, and it was a rookie mini camp, and I listened to his interview, and I'm going, okay, I'm a fan of this guy. I play just listening to him, and I think I was right so far.
Yeah, because
remember, he also last year was coming back from basically a season-ending injury, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's right.
So that means during the off season, chances are you're spending the majority of the off season rehabbing from surgery, not trying to get better while you're trying to get better. But you're spending time rehabbing instead of adding on. Let's put it that way.
So in terms of how you see it, and I'll ask Jamie and Paul as well what your feelings are on this. I'll ask you first, Mickey. Do you think Anthony Brown's getting unseated, barring the worst that could happen? But do you see him being unseated as the cornerback too, or is he pretty much solidified in there at the moment until Calvin?
I have not seen anybody mount a challenge.
Yeah.
Who's going to do it?
Yeah, that was just literally what I was just about to say there. Like, is there anyone really just willing to step up to the plate and actually challenge for that? I don't think there really is at this moment. Brown's kind of like more or less kind of like he's got himself a cushion, but enough to kind of keep him where he's at right now. But hey, anything can happen during training camp. Someone might step up and actually like outdo Anthony Brown's been doing. So it's just Mara. We just need to see what happens during training camp.
It'll be interesting, Paul, if they give Kelvin Joseph the opportunity to potentially do that. And that's what you got to have, right? the opportunity.
Yeah.
But again, you got to earn the opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's and this will be one of the more interesting training camps, I think, for the Cowboys, because they've got a lot of things that they have to accomplish during this training camp. And again, with young guys, if you get the opportunity, then are you ready? But you got to have an opportunity. And I remember, we were talking to Everson Walls on our podcast about his rookie year, and that when he came in, that back in those days, they had 2 weeks of rookie training camp before the veterans got there, right? And so we were talking about opportunities like some of these other rookies get these days, right? And Everson, so what kind of opportunity do you have? He goes, are you serious? He goes, I think when I went to training camp, we had 21 corners there, rookie corners, right? And he goes, and what am I? He goes, I'm undrafted out of Grambling. And he goes, I had to fight every opportunity I got to get to the front of the line. And I said, well, what happened when the veterans got here? He goes, well, it got worse because now all those guys were ahead of us and you didn't get an opportunity. And he told us a really funny story, you guys. I said, well, so what was it like the first time you got on the field with the veterans? And he goes, I cut in line to get up to cover Tony Hill. And this is when the veterans got there. And he said he got up and basically got in, man coverage, bump and run on the line of scrimmage. And he said, Tony Hill looked up and goes, rookie, what are you doing? And he goes, Tony, I'm trying to make the team. I'm covering you. And he goes, hey, I'm just out here to get through some routes. I'm trying to get my routes back down because I'm not playing football. And Everson said, so I told him, I'm sorry, I can't accommodate you. Right. And he goes, okay. And he said at the snap of the ball, he got this head fake and Tony Hill just burned him off the line of scrimmage. But again,
take that, rookie,
for these young guys.
Yeah, of course.
That's literally take the definition of taking a rookie to school.
Yeah. Like take that, rookie. But I think really at this stage, when we're talking of Kelvin Joseph, the next guy on our list is really it's going to be that battle with Jordan Lewis. I think at this stage, we said Jordan Lewis quietly gets it done, so I think it's going to be a hard nut to crack. But I think if anywhere, that's going to be the place Kelvin Joseph is really trying to aim for at the moment. I don't know if you guys agree with that sentiment.
Well, I haven't seen him in the slot yet, so I don't know that he'll get that opportunity.
Yeah.
All I've seen him is on the outside, and I've seen Jordan Lewis is on the inside. So I don't see any about face there with what those guys are doing.
I mean, I'm just going to check something because although Kelvin Joseph was in 6 games, did he take any special team snaps?
I
think he did, didn't he?
Jordan Lewis.
Kelvin Joseph. Kelvin Joseph.
I
think he did, didn't he?
Pre-season, I'm sure he did.
Hold on, let me check.
No, he didn't.
No, he did.
He did?
He did. Yeah, he took snaps on punt return and kick coverage.
Was it during pre-season?
No, this is in the season.
Oh, wow. All right, okay, fair enough.
Okay, so he does offer some special teams.
Oh,
because that's right. No, he was injured in camp, was he not?
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of I got mixed up. He did kind of miss pre-season a little bit.
So he didn't play. He only played 2 snaps in the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He only played 2 defensive snaps in the first 8 games.
Yeah.
And then overall, he ended up playing 14.3% of the special team snaps.
Yeah.
The last half of the season. So not a lot, like 160.
Yeah, 166 special team snaps.
And I think I remember him making a couple plays coming down as a gunner, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if he had a bunch of tackles or not.
One against the Giants as a gunner, on a tackle doesn't say where, but so he does it. So there is a way that he can crack the getting onto the roster in some respects. So he could do it that way. I'm not sure. What about you guys? I'm not convinced
that
Or Kelvin Joseph.
and using him in a special teams capacity at this stage. I want to try and limit him in that sense and just see what I've got for him as a defensive player.
Oh no, he's got to prove himself on special teams before he's going to get an opportunity.
Yeah,
to play on
this far
defense.
down.
Now, if you remember later in the season, they started giving him a series here and a series there to kind of see your spot.
He wasn't that bad either, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, he just got to know what to do.
Yeah,
and you got to be available.
Yes,
right.
Availability.
If you want a wrap-in career, that's fine. You've got from February to April, but when it's time for football, it's time for football.
Oh yeah,
especially with how training camp is now.
If I can sound like old man Mick there, right?
you can't be 50-50 in your career. You can't be. You need to be fully committed. You're either a football player or you're this.
Right.
End of story.
Yeah.
And
your
how the
ability
NFL
to
rules are now as well.
Rapping is to make money playing football.
Yeah. I mean, like outside interests are great. Wait for that when your career's over. As they always say in the NFL, it's not for long, as they always say. But sticking with the special teams, this, believe it or not, is one of my favorite players on the Cowboys roster is CJ Goodwin, 32 years of age, undrafted by the Steelers in 2014 from USC. He's 1.9 mil on the cap, which I think for the role he plays, and like he's a phenomenal player. It's such a speed freak too.
You got to have those guys on your team, right? You got to have some
100%.
You got a couple spots that you could have on the team that you're specialized in.
Yeah,
and his happens to be special teams, and they can use them in so many different capacities. If you look at what his numbers were,
you just try and get his
from a special team standpoint. He played 91% of the special team snaps. Somebody absorbed 1,047 special team snaps. That's somewhat unheard of. So he's worth every bit of that 1.9 million.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. And like people will say, like, do you really want a cornerback on your roster that just does that?
He's not a cornerback. He's a special temes player.
He's a special team, yeah. And like you always say, you can allow for maybe 3 or 4 players just purely, like when it comes to the final 53, they'll go to the special teams coach and they'll say, right, who are your 4 guys? Usually they'll say 3 or 4 guys. And they'll give a name. And I'm telling you, if I was a special team coordinator, the first name out of the gate would be CJ Goodwin for me.
Well, Mike, no, here it's the other way around. The special teams coordinator goes to them and says, here's the 4 guys I got to have.
Yeah.
He led the team with 10 special teams tackles, twice as many as anybody else. So he's worth every penny that they're paying him.
100%. And like when you look at it, they do use him across the board on all of the. I mean, you already said, in terms of how they use him snap wise, but he is across the board. The only part of the special teams he's not used on is actually taking the kick. So I think he's worth every penny on that one. I don't know if anyone else wants to weigh in on CJ Goodwin before we move in, Paul or Jamie?
I'm good. I'm good.
No, just the build-up of the roster, like you say, just for the special teams, because they give you such a great, or potentially give you such a great field position. These again are the kind of the guys that are always under the radar and don't get enough credit for me. They work their ass off not saying that nobody else does, but they have to work their ass off even more in training camp because they're on the bubble. And like I say, when they get on the field, we've seen it year in, year out, and it just takes one special teams player. If your team's playing bad, and you get someone that, just for instance, what was the guy? Was it the punter one that made that big tackle the other year? And it kind of rejuvenated the Cowboys for the rest of the game. So these guys are worth the weight in gold, and they don't get a lot of salary for it when compared to the rest of the rosters.
Yeah, and I'll defer to Mickey to answer this one, but I think when it comes to special teams play, like those big plays that happen, those big explosive, I think that lights a fire in your team more than any other play.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
and and it'll deflate you faster than anything else.
That's true. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next guy. A guy we wrote about last year quite extensively is Nashawn Wright. So he's in his second year, 23 years of age, from Oregon State. This year, he's still on his rookie contract, so just over $1 million on the cap. I know a lot of people gave Nashawn Wright a bit of hate last year from, I don't know if you remember the punt kick that bounced off his helmet, which meant that they could recover the ball. I think he was unlucky on that play, but I like what he provides, especially in the red zone for such a tall, lanky guy. What do you think about Mickey? Mickey, what do you think about Nashawn Wright?
Well, I think he was a developmental player.
Yes.
And the fact that he was able to get on the field as a rookie, I think it spoke volumes. And again, we're going to see, can he make that jump between his first year and his second year? And so I think what attracted him was his length, not only tall, but long arms, right?
Yeah.
And what happened on that special teams play, it was just a natural reaction, right? But he made up for it, right? Came back
exactly
the next game or 2 games later, and ended up with the touchdown.
Yeah.
But I think so. Everybody needs to understand, and I can't say it and emphasize it enough. Opportunity, right? You got to get opportunity, and when you're a young guy like that, the only way you get opportunity is gain trust in the coaching staff, and it's hard when you're a young guy. It's real hard. Especially when you have veterans ahead of you.
Yeah, especially veterans ahead of you leading the league in interceptions. All right, but the next guy, and I don't know who wants to talk about him because he's a little bit of he's still on the roster, and it was a bit of a confusing move when they made it last season, was Kyron Brown, who was undrafted by the Jets. He's brought in, play for Akron. He's on a 2-year deal with the Cowboys, just under $1 million on the cap this year. I mean, what sort of role is he trying to play for the Cowboys, Mickey? I mean,
well, he's got to scramble on special teams and try to become, the 4th or 5th wide receiver.
Yeah,
there's only so many wide receivers are going to make it. It'll be interesting to see what he does. I think at times in these mini camps and OTAs, he's showed up. I'm trying to think if he's the guy that I remember kind of looking at the roster.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, who's this 26? So he must have done something at Kyron Brown. So it'd be interesting to see where he fits in. The competition, 4 through 6 on the cornerback is where the competition will be during training camp, assuming health.
Yeah, and ironically, that's the inverse for the wide receivers. For me, it's the wide receivers 5 through 7, which is the same for the cornerbacks, where I think the battle's going to be happening in cornerback. But
I don't know. I think wide receivers, it's 2 through 6.
yeah, you're right there. But because we've been bigging up TJ Vasher, we wrote an article this week saying a lot of people are saying, is it Simi Fehoko? Is it TJ Vasher? And we've turned around and we said, why not both?
Well, Vasher certainly caught my eye. Just
has he tried jumping over you yet?
How do you miss it? He's like 6'4", 6'5", whatever. He can jump out of the sky. Long arms. Be a heck of a red zone threat, especially for a couple of the throw up balls in the end zone. So interesting guy. He's battled injuries. They basically redshirted him last year to protect his rights. And early in the mini camp and the rookie mini camp and OTAs, he kind of showed up because he's getting opportunities with all the wide receivers missing, right?
Exactly.
There was a time where, a couple of those practice, he's running first team with Simi Fehoko.
Yeah.
Brian Houston now, I think it's Brian Houston, right? Let me see if I got that right. Dennis Houston. At the end of the mini camp, he was running first team.
That says it all.
You don't have Gallup, you don't have James Washington out there.
Lamb was out for a little bit.
Lamb, the last couple practices was missing.
Yeah.
So it's like, and Noah Brown was also.
Yeah.
So you had Tolbert, Houston, and then either Fehoko or Vasher or whoever else you wanted to throw out there.
Yeah. And what I do like as well for these guys down the roster is the challenge they face against these wide receivers, because they are good. When you look at it, when you talk Gallup, Lamb, even Tolbert, the rookie, Noah Brown, he's he may as well be a tight end, mind you, the way he's looking at the moment. But I mean, when you think of the cornerbacks that, the talent they have to face to practice against, iron sharpens iron, as they say.
Yeah, and like I said, we'll find out more in training camp, because you guys got to understand when they're in the underwear Olympics out there and OTAs, and hell, they even got penalized an OTA practice for being too physical.
Yeah, I know. What was that? Can you explain
it had to be a practice we didn't watch, because I didn't see anything other than the one we did watch, and the fight broke out between the young offensive and defensive linemen.
Oh, Big JR and Josh Ball.
Big John, right? Yeah.
Yeah. He's definitely getting nicknamed JR.
I'll tell you what, his thighs look like redwood trunks. I swear to God, just huge. You just hope he can play, right?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so those practices, they can't do any one-on-one drills. They don't want the cornerbacks on the line of scrimmage bumping running. So yeah, you got to take all those practices with a grain of salt. And the unfortunate thing is, it's like you sit there and go, okay, I can't wait we get to training camp. Then we get to training camp, and the first 4 days are the exact same practice. Not allowed to put pads on. So yeah. I was amused when the Bears got punished for being too physical, right? The Cowboys' former linebacker coach, right? And I'm sitting there going, Matt Eberflus, and I'm going,
yeah.
So the Bear fans just saw their new coach being too tough on the guys and too physicals. He's ingratiated himself with all the fans in Chicago, because that's what they want to hear, right? Yeah, we're gonna be like Ditka, right? We got to be tough.
Yeah, the good old days. Yeah.
So Flus has bought him some time to at least before he falls out of favor if they don't win enough games.
Yeah, I mean, because it was a strange one. People were asking questions about what that meant, and we had no clue. And it turns out, even the great Mickey Spagnuolo has no clue what too physical. It wasn't like, like last year with
what happened
running the Oklahoma drill.
They waited to announce it until everything was over and everybody was gone. It's like, okay, well, we'll find somebody to ask.
It seemed an unusual process there. But all right, let's look at the last three cornerbacks, which is 5th round pick Deron Bland, Quandre Mosley, and Isaac Taylor Stewart. These guys, certainly one of them is going to make the practice squad, but any of them are going to make the active roster, you guys?
I think it's going to be hard. I think Bland has a chance just because he's a draft choice, but he'll have to prove it on special teams. And he basically said, I play all special teams. So that's a good start for him.
Yeah.
number 36 was another guy that caught my eye. He made a couple plays. The guy with the double last name,
Isaac Taylor Stewart.
Taylor
great,
Stewart.
great surname. Great surname.
Yeah. So anyway, at least they know he's there. I heard somebody mention his name. You'll get at least two corners, maybe three. I mean, you got 16, or no, is it 14 now? They're back to 14 practice squad guys. I'm trying to remember if they reduced it or they added.
They added to it.
Yeah, you're going to have a couple corners. So, but I think he's got an opportunity.
Yeah, well, I mean, Paul, Jamie, what do you think these last three guys? Like we say, there's the 5th round pick, so he's got that studded next to him. But we've heard a lot about Isaac Taylor Stewart from USC.
I mean, we said the exact same thing last year about like Sean Wright and stuff like that. Like where he was going to make the squad and stuff like that. Then there was all the talking about who knows, like one of these guys might. I'm really excited for training camp because I do expect some of these guys that like Taylor Stewart and Bland to kind of like just come out of nowhere and actually make a stamp. So that's one thing I'm really interested in. I mean, you know me, I'm more of a defensive lineman guy, but in terms of the secondary, I'm actually quite intrigued to see what's going to happen and transpire with regards to that.
Yeah, Jamie?
Yeah, I mean,
because there is always that one guy.
Always is.
Go on. Yeah, go on. Sorry, Jay.
I was going to say, especially with now kind of how the league sets the rules for training camp, their opportunity to shine was probably a minimum at best a couple of years ago, but now it's even less in it. So you've got to grab the bull by the horn, so to speak, now in training camp. And so, like I say, it just takes one play. Fingers crossed it's a good one, because like I say, with the snaps they're going to get, they don't want to make a bad one, and it's pretty much end of the camp and it's end of the Cowboys' career anyway. Probably, like I say, I'm probably eyes on Taylor Stewart just for the fact, it's a USC guy. He's got a cool name.
Cheers, mate.
And Jamie, you know what? That's a good point, because the downside of cutting back on how many training camp practices you can have, cutting back on how long you can be on the field, cutting back that there's no more real two-a-days, because one of the practices is basically they're dressed like me and in a walkthrough with a hat on, right? And you now only get 3 preseason games. So these guys at the far end of the roster have fewer opportunities to prove that they can do something in the league. And I think that's really hurt young guys making the team. You know, there was a guy last year that kind of showed up, Tyler Coyle, a safety, and he was a free agent safety, right? And he made it to the practice squad. I think he might have got active for 1 game or so. But those poor guys just don't get much of an opportunity. And that's why the Cowboys last year were fortunate to play in the Hall of Fame game. So they got to play 4. They were supposed to play 4 preseason games. You've lessened the opportunity for young guys to make your roster that are at the back end that, have to do something to say, hey, I'm here.
I've just kind of came to, well, not a conclusion, but I totally agree. Like, I think with the less opportunities and that, it's going to affect how they're going to perform. But like, in terms of learning the playbook, that's definitely more of a school like education. You need to study and study and study, but without actually practicing it, it just kind of becomes redundant, if that makes sense. So
and you know what, Paul, that's probably the most important thing in these off-season practices is learning the playbook. Studying the playbook, knowing where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there. That was one of the ideas, I think, when they cut back on the physical activity, and it's like, okay, this has got to be more mental now. We got to learn this stuff from a mental standpoint.
I think in a way as well, and feel free to cut me off. Like, I kind of feel like it's giving more players a self-responsibility to actually go out and actually learn, rather than actually kind of being spoon-fed it. They need to actually, and it gives coaches, it's like, okay, this guy's determined. Let him, okay, I like the fact he's actually learned this, and this, A, B, C, D, whatever, of the playbook, which give him an opportunity. I don't know if that might be something you think that might be kind of more of a coach overseeing, saying, okay, what guys are actually learning the playbook here?
Oh, I think that's always been the case. The coaches look at that. And I think this one kind of stuck out to me when Mike McCarthy talked about how this rookie class, this draft choice class seemed more prepared than previous draft choice classes. And he gave credit to the fact that these guys, their last couple of years in college, going through COVID, had to learn basically online, right? They had to study more if they were going to know what they were doing, because they got fewer opportunities to practice. And he felt like these guys were more prepared for what we were doing in the off season than maybe previous draft classes.
They do seem very blue collar, these guys. Really, like as if when you look at them all, there seems to have been a theme there that they've gone for these blue collar type players.
Well, they better be.
Yeah, you're right there. You're right there. But a question that popped into my head as well while you were talking, we were talking about preseason games, because I really didn't notice it last season because I had the addition game with the Hall of Fame. But in the 3-game preseason, what game are they using as their dress rehearsal then? Is it the second game that they're going for on this?
Well, it could be the second. It could be the third.
They just mix it up.
Just kind of play it by ear, because if you remember, you play the third one, and then you got 2 weeks to get ready for the season opener. I
just popped into my head because I didn't really notice it last year.
Here's what's going to be more valuable than 3 preseason games: the 3 training camp practices they have against the Chargers and the Broncos.
Yes, I'm looking forward to the actual Chargers one, because of their decent defensive lineman front. That is going to be a test for our O-line, like Tyler Smith.
And it gives them an opportunity to be in pads against someone else in a controlled atmosphere, right?
Absolutely.
And
you
so
got Justin Herbert.
You're basically going through your practice routine, but against somebody else, so you get more snaps because you're not hitting your own guys. And so you get a better look at what other guys in the league are doing, but you get more quality reps, I think, assuming boys will not be boys and get carried away and it becomes fisticuffs.
That does happen.
If I remember correctly, though, I think the NFL is the ability to use their referees officials in these practices. Now, I could be wrong. I got to double check it. But I think when it was just, this crew from the community college was available, let's bring them in. No one respects anything. But I think if they see NFL officials there, and then the next thing that's going to happen is the NFL is going to crack down and start sending out fines for misbehaving in these practice sessions.
But they don't want that imagery put to them, do they?
No.
Well, money always talks.
Exactly.
This is going to sound like a pure daft comment, but the NFL, it sounds like, rather than an actual company, it sounds more like a politician. They want to get praised for all the good stuff, but any of the bad stuff, they don't want anything to do with it.
You say that on the day Boris has resigned.
Oh, yeah. I had to throw that in there. I had to.
Now, who resigned?
Our Prime Minister.
He did not. Did he?
He did.
He's done it.
That just happened today?
Yeah, he's done it. He's gone.
Oh, because I was reading about it this morning that a couple of people, I don't know if it's called his cabinet or whatever,
that's it.
had resigned, and they thought
59 people of his cabinet. 59.
What in the world's happening?
Yeah,
he's just
and I saw in Wimbledon they're letting the line judges wear color, right? They're not all in white. They had blue stripes on their shirts. What's the deal?
Controversial.
Everyone's against the rules nowadays.
It won't be long and they'll be having advertising. Yeah, we're
hilarious.
white, no advertising. That's how Wimbledon's supposed to be.
Right?
And strawberries and cream. Maybe one day we'll get to have you over and we'll take you for some strawberries and cream at Wimbledon.
I was hoping this was the year, and then they just gave Jacksonville a home game, right?
We was
you
there.
and me both, Mickey.
We were right there, mate. We was waiting for it, and we actually found out the day before it was announced. And
Yeah.
you saw a very quiet bunch here, just keeping it very quiet.
Deflating was an understatement. We were just like, right, what do we do now? It's like we were campaigning. We were trying to get all the information from like Stephen Jones to
getting ready to buy bulk tickets for everyone.
Yeah, we were like preparing
you guys
venues.
are just gonna have to make a trip here. That's all.
We got that in the bag.
Well, I'm over in December, so I'll be there for the Colts and the Texans game.
Let's show Mickey. This is what we're doing next year. One of a kind, never been done before. In 2023, we are doing our own package deal. We've got it all set up. People from the group are signing up. They pay the deposits, and we're all coming over. So there's going to be a mass group of UK Cowboys fans gracing your doors next year.
So you just got to figure out what game it is, but you got to wait, right?
Yeah. At that stage, yeah.
That's pretty
going
cool.
To a college game, a college game. Tour of AT&T, tour of the Star, and go to a college football game, whole deal.
You know what's going to happen though, don't you? We're going to plan this, and the Cowboys are going to come over here next year.
Oh God, yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right. It'd be a double hitter for you, right?
Yeah. We get to see you twice, mate.
Yeah.
One thing I will confirm is like Dallas will for how the international series will work in terms of the home game they're supposed to host. That is most likely going to be the Mexico game.
Yeah.
Like either next year in 2024,
23.
No, 24, 26, 28, 30.
Yeah.
Is it the alternate, the host teams?
That's
nations?
it, yeah.
So
you guys need to come here and find a spot to do your podcast then.
Maybe we could do it where you sat now, Mickey. We could be surrounded by all that amazing history of your home.
Well, or the Cowboys' home, you never know. Just keep the world healthy, okay?
Yeah, that's it. As long as everyone's healthy and happy, that's all we can ask for.
Hey, listen, as long as I've got a beer in my hand, I'll always be healthy.
Yeah, I think Jamie's drunk right now, actually.
After my weekend, I ain't touched a beer this week so far.
I was about to say,
Jamie, tell Mickey where you were.
I mean, hell, it's 10 o'clock there, right?
Yeah.
So Mickey, Jamie, tell Mickey where you were at this weekend. Last
week.
weekend.
Just done a week at the Grand Prix for the Formula One, Mickey.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
The Grand Prix. Do people drink there?
It's becoming a yearly ritual.
Very nice.
It's worth it. The weather was good. I got a sunburn the only day that it rained, which is strange.
What do they call that, rainburn?
I don't know.
God almighty, Jamie. But yeah, if that's one thing I would love to do is like maybe go to a Formula One race somewhere outside of Silverstone, somewhere different.
Texas.
Austin's definitely out there.
Austin
is Texas.
You guys want to go to Formula One, and I want to go to Wimbledon.
Hey, and a soccer game over here.
Yeah, that would be all right. Absolutely.
Yeah, but we did say we keep you for an hour. We've gone slightly over, and we've gone wayward over on what we were talking there. We've transitioned to Formula One. We're now the Dallas Cowboys Formula One podcast. Thank you for joining us.
I don't think I have anything from a time standpoint till 4:20, so you guys are good.
All right. Well, do you want to talk about any other positions while we got Mickey here, guys?
I've actually got a good question.
Actually, before you hit, I'll just tell everyone at home: send your messages in. We can see you checking them in. Check us some questions, and we'll throw Mickey while we got him. But go on, Paul.
So I don't know if anyone's. I think it was yourself, Mike, that commented on my tweet about this, but it was the PFF post about Trent. Is it Trent Richardson, the offensive lineman?
Trent Williams.
Trent Williams. Sorry, I don't know why I'm saying Richardson for. Trent Williams was given an overall rating of 99 for Madden this year. I'm sorry, but there's better offensive linemen out there available than Trent Williams. How the hell is he given an overall rating of 99 out of 100?
He must have handed himself under the table or something, right?
Oh, if you want to give Trent Williams 99 for smack talk, then yeah, absolutely. but no, I'm sorry. That's just nah.
And you guys know I'm not a big fan of those rating systems. So.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I just here's what I don't understand. How do you possibly have the manpower to judge every player on every play of every game? It's impossible.
Yeah.
Is this going to your PFF talk as well?
No, I'm not. I didn't mention anybody.
Yeah, because I mean, you get the same argument with them. Because I wonder how they get their grades. I don't get it. Because like you say, they'd have to watch every snap, every play. And like with Madden, I put even less stock in it. I don't know what you got, what you think there.
And they don't know what the players are supposed to be doing.
What the call was.
Yeah. Or if there was a double team that didn't get doubled, or if there was an offensive lineman that was handing off that didn't get handed off, you just never know.
Yeah, it seems like they're just trying to go based on people's actual reports rather than doing their own research. More than anything.
Like, how'd you put a grade on a tight end wham in the nose?
On a what?
How you put a grade? How do you rate a score on a tight end wham in the nose?
Oh, yeah.
I that's what I was thinking of, like stuff like that,
I just saw in your comments. I love it that Joe Ciancino from Italy is watching this.
He's
on, right? Yeah.
So he's 2 hours ahead of us. So right now it'll probably be near enough midnight. So big shout out to Joe. He's always coming onto the show, tuning in and always kind of sharing the podcast and that. So big up to Italy.
Gives us some grief, yeah. He, when it comes to the Six Nations in rugby, though, he tends to go a bit quiet.
Oh, okay.
Coming from a Welshman, sheer finish.
No, I know. I can't. But mind you, they did do well on the weekend. They didn't do too bad against South Africa. I noticed Brian went quiet though because they got absolutely thumped by New Zealand. Yeah, you got a question for Mickey then, Jamie? Go on.
I'll throw two part if it's all right, Mickey. Apart from obviously the normal guys, so like your Dak Prescott's, that kind of thing. Who are you looking forward to seeing the most in training camp this year, and also who's one of maybe the veteran guys that's probably on the bubble and maybe most at risk do you think of being cut?
As for veteran guys being on the bubble, I think those days have passed because of the salary cap. Either you can't cut them, or if you were going to cut them, you already did for cap reasons, right? So I think it's very rare now that you see somebody come into training camp and just flop, like they missed on the guy. And it's like, well, we can't deal with this any longer. I mean, unless somebody just fell off the face of the earth, it's not like trying to come up with an example for you. And the Cowboys really don't have that many veteran guys. They are
a very young team.
Terrell Basham. I don't know if you look at that as a veteran, stable guy, right? I mean, they just brought him in on a 2-year deal, I believe it was last year. And so if he doesn't make it because some young guys bump him off, I don't know that it's a failure. It's just, he did his deal for 1 year and we're going on. But, it's not like all of a sudden Tyron Smith is not going to make the team, right? So I think those days are kind of over. As for who I'm kind of looking for to step up, and I don't know if that it happens during training camp, but the guy they need to step up is Demarcus Lawrence. Remember, he about missed the entire season last year. I think people forget that. He played 7 games, and one of them was the first one of the season, if I remember correctly. And then after fracturing his 5th metatarsal, he finished out the year. I don't know if he played in that last season game or not.
Yes, he did. Yeah,
he did. Okay, so they really need him. And I see people mention, well, Demarcus Lawrence, he only had 3 sacks, and well, guess what? He didn't play, but a minimal amount of games. So they need him healthy, especially with some of the inexperience they have at defensive end. You're counting on young guys. You're counting on new guys. You're counting on a guy that's been there that hasn't had much of an opportunity, Dorrance Armstrong. But Lawrence has got to be the leader of the gang. And I'll be anxious to see that he's actually not having to have spent this offseason rehabbing something. In the last few years, he's always been rehabbing something. And they've been minimizing his ability to participate in some of these camp practices and for sure in preseason games. So all system go for Demarcus Lawrence. I'm really anxious to see him back on the field healthy. He looks fit. I don't know if it's because he cut his dreads, but he looks like he lost weight. He's got a haircut, little more than me, but still it's a haircut.
Ironically, what you're talking about, somebody's asked that question on Twitter as we've been talking. I do apologize. I'm not even going to try the name, but they're asking what was the reason behind him, and they're saying is that they're going to use him differently.
The reason behind
him losing weight, they've said Demarcus Lawrence losing weight. Is there a reason?
And he maintains he really didn't, but we'll see. But again, it's a product of being able to work out full time in the off season instead of doing rehab stuff. And when you're rehabbing, which by the way, I once had to rehab from a fractured 5th metatarsal, and all you're doing is you're taking these little steps, and then forward and backwards. And you're sitting there going, this is just useless, right? But it was part of the process to get back to retraining yourself to walk, to run after you've been in a boot for 5 weeks or so on crutches. And those are the things those guys have to go through. So it has little to do with playing football and everything to do as just being normal Joe out there trying to get back on your 2 feet.
Yeah. Okay. And just so you're aware, Twitter questions don't come up on our screen. We've got a few coming in. First one is a 2-part question. Are you going to camp this year, Mickey?
I believe we are going to camp.
You are? And the question we've got here is, what's the one thing you cannot go to camp without?
My bicycle.
Yeah, of course. Have you gone skiing as well this year?
That morning ride, when it's...
I forget you go cycling.
When it's 105 degrees here in Dallas and we wake up there and it's 60. Yeah. And the biggest question you have is, am I wearing long sleeves or short sleeves? And I really look forward to that. As a matter of fact, I've tried to upgrade my time riding, so I'm in shape to do it with one of the guys that became my partner last year.
And I suppose you need the bike for the fitness to run with a microphone to catch up to the players as well.
No, we just have to make sure that they'll continue to transport our bike there, either on the equipment truck or the charter flight.
And have you gone skiing this year?
I did go skiing for the first time in 2 years. Yes.
And, of course, because of restrictions and all that.
Yeah, the Achilles tear. So, that was, and I lived to talk about it too. As a matter of fact, I ran into my surgeon that fixed the Achilles. On
the piste.
It would have been at the clinic about a month or two ago, and I walked in and I said, "Hey, guess what?" And he goes, "What?" He goes, "I said I skied," and he goes, "And you're good to go." And I said, "Better than ever." And he goes, "I guess I got lucky."
Yeah, I bet like as soon as he heard you went skiing, I bet like the pen twitching hand started to go like,
Right.
oh no.
Well, just know that I knew I must have been in good hands because so my surgery was in May and Dak Prescott's was in November and he did Dak's ankle. So I said, I didn't know I was in such good hands.
Wow. Small world, mind.
How about that?
Yeah. Any other questions, Paul, Jamie?
Yeah, I don't know.
The rest of the Twitter ones are fairly irrelevant, and apologize again that they don't come. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, apologies for Twitter. For some reason the comments don't come through. It's best just to kind of leave a tweet to us, and we'll get it and we'll ask it. But the question afterwards, did anyone see the news regarding to Von Miller saying he would have taken a lower price and would have come?
Well, you know what? He got offered a lower price, and I think he thought it was too low because basically, from what I saw, that they would have been willing to offer him Randy Gregory money.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about.
So he ended up getting $3 million a year or more in Buffalo, and he couldn't pass it up. So, this notion that guys will play less to go back to their hometown, that's a bunch of BS.
Yeah.
And the money for a shorter, time period. I think they gave him like $6 million, averaging 17 something a year. And I think Gregory's offer was 5 years. It came to 14, but also it comes down to guaranteed money.
Yeah.
So you never know how much Buffalo guaranteed than the Cowboys, because the average per year doesn't matter. It's how much is guaranteed.
It's all the guarantees
per year, right?
Yeah.
So it always comes down to money. I learned this long time ago, when you got to look for how a decision's going to be made in the NFL, just follow the money.
There it is. There's the statement we hear you say so many times. Follow the money.
But yeah, it would be nice. But again, do you want to, I bet the guaranteed money is not even close, because I'm thinking the Cowboys are thinking, okay, this guy has been, had some questionable injuries the last couple of years. His production, while it was good in the playoffs, kind of sagged during the regular season. Now, how much do I want to guarantee him over how many years? Because when size, I don't remember. Is he like 33?
Yeah, I was just about to say what his age is. Hold on, I'll find out.
Or I bet you can look it up faster.
It's definitely going to be long in the tooth, that's for sure.
And you got to be careful promising money long term for somebody that's not going to finish out the contract. My guess is 33.
Born 1989.
Yeah,
yeah, he is 33 as we speak. He's born in March.
Got to be careful. So if I remember correctly, I see that Buffalo signed him to a 6-year deal.
It is quite expensive.
That is quite.
If my math
big deal.
That means he's playing until he's 39. That ain't happening.
No chance. No chance.
At that position as well, and you think of the injuries that he's had,
right?
As well,
And do they plan on?
And in Texas A&M.
And do they plan on playing him 60 snaps a game, or is he a designated pass rusher and he's going to play 30 or 40?
You would like to think with the contract's been given, he's there to play every snap. But...
Don't get it off the field.
Yeah. It's a lot of money for a DPR, isn't it?
Right, exactly.
But there we are, mate. It is 20 past, so we will let you finish and go do your thing over there and enjoy the sunshine. Grab a few cocktails.
We're jealous, man.
Way too much sunshine, believe me.
We could do with some, actually.
Yeah, can you send it over here, because it's absolutely miserable over here.
Well, I could send you. Let's see, if I sent you 20 degrees a day, that would get us to 85. Okay.
That's sweet.
I'll take that any day.
Although I'm saying that on the day, I'm saying this on the day the air conditioner on my truck broke. So,
well, one of our air conditioners is going down, and it's like I tell people, they ask about water, and I said, the only water we see, it comes out of the ground instead of into the ground.
yeah. But there we go, mate. Well, thank you very much for joining us again.
Okay.
We'll try and get you on at some point during the season, get your take on how things are going. And
just be very judicious about, well, you know what, training camp, I'll be even 2 more hours behind you guys.
Of course,
right.
yeah, California,
Yeah.
So we would almost have to do a morning show.
Yeah, we'll be speaking to you while you're on your bike.
Because let's see, if I can do this noon out there, it will be 8 o'clock your time, right?
Yeah, I think yes.
On the West Coast,
7 hours, I believe.
It
hours
would be
West
8
Coast.
hours now,
Here
right?
in Dallas is 6 hours, and
And
I
then
think
2 more, it's 8 hours difference.
Yeah, you're right.
8 hours.
Yeah, 8 hours. Yeah.
And Eastern's 5.
I might eat lunch with you.
Hey.
There we go. Maybe we'll secretly send you like a delivery from Domino's Pizza or something. You wonder where it come from.
That sounds good. All right, I enjoyed it, guys. You guys
Excellent.
have a good rest of the evening.
And
You too,
yourself.
Mickey.
We'll keep an eye out for you during mini camp, and we'll be listening to your words, mate.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you
Later,
very
man.
much, Mickey.
Take care.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
And there we have it. The legend that is Mickey Spagnuolo joining us, giving his insights on the cornerback position and the team. He's always fun to talk to. He loves it, doesn't he?
Oh man, honestly, I could listen to Mickey all day. Honestly, it's just this knowledge and
Yeah.
depth.
Straight shooting. No,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
like
And he's
dancing
not.
around
It's
crap.
not. He's not shy to speak his mind as well. Like, so yeah, gotta love Mickey. Gotta love.
Yeah, it's very true. But yes, that is it from us this week. It is the final episode next week of season 3. Season 4 coming straight after the week after. It's like we timed it all perfectly with training camp. We start season 4 with a 53-man roster prediction. So get your thinking caps on for the next 2 weeks because you'll be joining us for that. Next week is the safety position, and we have another special guest again because we got to, because it's the last show.
Oh yeah.
It's got to be done, isn't it? You know. But you go, Paul. Hit us with it.
Yeah, guys. So if you're planning on to a Dallas Cowboy in this, let me say that again. I do
That's
apologize.
all right. Get your teeth back in.
If you're going to a Dallas Cowboys game this year, be sure to go with Cowboys Experience for the ultimate meet and greet, tailgate, and game day package experience. Get to meet former Dallas Cowboys players like Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, and current wide receivers like Michael Gallup and many other players that will be featured in the meet and greets.
Micah
And
Parsons.
guys, when I do say this, these guys will treat you like absolute royalty. Like the times where they've go above and beyond for the likes of me and Jamie, and all you need to do to get a really good package of this is just use the code UK Cowboys. And guys, what happens if you get the code? Use the code.
Jamie.
Chocolate pudding.
Well,
Free stuff.
you might get chocolate pudding, but you do get free stuff.
Free
That's
stuff,
included.
baby. And there's some people to follow. And of course, check out the travel package deal we got for 2023, exclusive with UK Cowboys. So if you're flying from Ireland, UK, or even Europe, make sure to check it out and join
Or even
us.
Italy, like Joe.
Even Italy, baby. That's right. So there we are. That is episode 204. 205 coming
Wow.
with you next week. I know, yeah.
Wow.
So make sure to join us as we finish the positional breakdown series and the end of season 3. But for the end of this episode, Paul and Jamie, take it away. We'll see you all next week, guys.
Have a good one. See you next week.
All right. Have a good weekend. Stay safe. Wear sunscreen because it's going to be hot, and have fun.
Heat wave, baby.